Mina Meitzah Karatia Anani Vamechavyam Mina Meitzah Karatia Anani Vamechavyam Mina Meitzah Karatia Anani Vamerchavia Mina Meitzah Karatia Anani Vamerchavia Ozi Vizimratia Vayehi li Yeshua Mina Meitzah Karatia Anani Vamerchavia. Boker Tov, good morning. I'm not sure if all of you are enjoying the weather as much as I am. It is so beautiful outside. We've been lucky with a little bit of break in the grayness of the weather, yet our hearts have a lot of gray. Hearts are feeling heavy as just the unfolding of hostage release and the torture and barbaric treatment. And today, Yarden's, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to it, eulogy, which was heart-wrenching and moving and just so beautifully sweet all at the same time. But here we are, together, to continue to learn, to continue to lift up, to continue to join in community, to learn together, to pray together, to be together. And that is what we do. This is why we do this. I don't know either. At least I listened and watched and listened and thought to myself, wow. It's incredible. Not only were his words powerful and all that I've said already, but it's unbelievable given his own personal circumstance. Being held and just his own emotional and physical health and well-being, and yet his words were so powerful and so beautiful. It's like one of those things, like if he could find the strength, then who are we? But also we can't take away from our own struggles and stress and put it aside and act like it doesn't exist. It still exists. It's just a different feeling. But all feelings should be felt. So this week we come to Parshat Terumah. Donations, gifts of self, gifts of money, presence, time, all of that. And so in this portion, in this parsha, the major theme of the rest of the book of Exodus is introduced. Like the details, the monotony, how many times can we read about a cubit, another tendril, all of these words and all of these measurements for the construction of the tabernacle, this portable sanctuary that was going to be the center of Jewish life, of religious Jewish life, as they were wandering in the wilderness of desert. The Mishkan was God's dwelling place amongst the people. Yes, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but in our practice, in our belief, it's, God is everywhere. It's not that God is only in a sanctuary kind of space, but this was God's dwelling place in time, where sacrifices were offered and God communicated to the people through Moses and the high priests, Aaron and his sons. So these detailed instructions are given to Moses of how exactly the Mishkan should be built, what materials should be used, and it included the Klei Kodesh, the holy instruments, like a menorah, and don't be thinking Chanukiah, thinking menorah, an altar for the sacrifices, the ark, the Holy of Holies. And it is here in this parsha where God says to Moses, ask the Israelites, ask the Jewish people to bring terumah, to bring usually gifts, but maybe more like contributions or donations. But they are to be of free will. Not to say you better contribute XYZ, rather give what you can give. Before, let's rewind for a second. So Moses is on Sinai, and God is giving the instructions that Moses will then pass to the Jews. The specific part of the discussion at this point is building the Mishkan, is building this tabernacle. But before God passes the details of how it should be built, it was like they needed a building campaign. We need this, but how can we get this without a collection of some sort of what we need to build this item? It was to collect the materials for this lavish construction project. And of course, what's the answer? The thing we hate most is fundraising. So now here's Moses asking the Jews, hey, we need you to bring gifts for building this holy place, but it's not like taxes that you're like paying in. It's rather, what can you give of your free will if your heart is moved so to do so? So any of us who have ever been part of anything that had to do with a board that is for non-for-profit, you know how troublesome and important fundraising is. And without the support, these kind of significant institutions can't exist. We know this. But we also know how difficult it is. We also know how convincing people to part with that which is their hard-earned money to support even the most worthy causes that they're all in about, that they love. Something is not easy about just writing a check, dropping off some cash. We know how difficult it is for us, whether we have or we don't have. Sometimes it's easier to give of yourself and your time than being able to financially do it, even if you can. And some people can just write the check and it doesn't matter to them, and they'll support anything. They're not even vested in what it is, but it's their way. Just give a check and don't bother me. Don't come back and bother me, but here's something to help you. But imagine how much more difficult it is. How much more difficult it is to convince a group of people, two-ish or so, a little bit of time, weeks out of slavery, that they should be making contributions to a house of worship for the invisible. When they were in Egypt, it was different. You could see the gods. Egyptian gods are different. For us, God is not, we can't personify. You can't make God a person. And so these people are like, we should bring and give and do. For what? For something we can't see. It's a hard sell. I don't care what kind of salesperson you are. That's a hard sell. And so God is asking this of Moses, but seems to understand how difficult it might be. And so the language request used is super precise. God asked the Jews to take for me to Rumah. Weird. That choice of words isn't, it should be give, is what we're thinking. Can you actually take a free will offering? But what it really means is that the Jews should give a gift for the construction of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, the tent of meeting. But instead, it says they should take. Okay? So Rashi, our greatest commentator, connects this use. So just stay with me for a second. It's going to make sense, I promise. So far it makes sense, but up till now, maybe not. The verb take, is specific. It's specific to the offering that's being requested. Terumah is defined as a heave offering, this special type of offering that is used to set apart. It's not your average donation. It's something different, set apart from the rest. Take it from what's usual. Therefore, the individual themselves who takes the offering voluntarily from their own possessions and designates it as a sacred gift. So take from what you have. But here's a different perspective from a Yiddish folktale. The difference between giving and taking. Yankel, the cheapskate, wouldn't give money to anyone for any reason. It did not matter how important the cause. No one could crack Yankel the cheapskate. He just wouldn't contribute. So one day, Yankel was crossing the river in a small boat, and a huge storm out of nowhere broke out. And, of course, what happens? His boat capsizes. Luckily, another boat is approaching, and the sailor called out to him, "Give me your hand. Give me your hand." Yankel could barely hear him over the strong winds and the roaring waves, and he heard only one word over and over: "Give, give." But good old Yankel, the cheapskate, couldn't help himself. He yelled back, "No, I don't give. I don't give." Again, "Yankel, give me your hand. Give me your hand." And again, Yankel screams, "Never. I don't give." Finally, in desperation, the rescuer yelled, "Yankel, take my hand." And Yankel said, "Oh, take? Sure." Folks, Jewish tradition teaches us that giving tzedakah is an opportunity to help others. It's just that, an opportunity. Tzedakah is an opportunity to help others. Nothing more. An opportunity, a chance at it. It's a privilege that benefits us as much as the one whom we give. So many of us are givers and struggle to be receivers, right? It's not so easy to receive gifts, but we're better at giving them. There's really little difference between giving and taking. Every time we give, we're really taking the opportunity to be able to give and to help and to do. There's an old folk saying, "A fool gives and a wise person takes." The wise person realizes that, hey, it is the person who benefits most from their action of giving. I benefit in giving something. This is the difference between charity and tzedakah. In charity, we give. It's a one-way street. Here you go. This is what it is. But with tzedakah, we are actually obligated to give it. Everyone is obligated to give it equally. And it's an act of righteousness. If everyone gives, then we all benefit from living in a society where everyone's needs are met and no one is in need. We're so far from that. We're so far from that, but that doesn't mean that we don't see that end result, that we can't dream about it, that we can't work toward it. In fact, it gives us more of an opportunity to heed the blessing, the commandment, the desire, the need. Because we live in a society that benefits from all. To live in a society is a privilege. And for all that we give, we all benefit much more. That is the giving of ourselves each and every day that we come here to join together. Take for me an offering. Do for me. Show up. All of us are the wise person. That we all benefit when we all do. And together, that's what we do as a person, as a people. What will we give? How will we do it? If those that are in their weakest moments are able to do it, then so too can we. Gail, we are not on Zoom. We are not on Zoom. We are here, Facebook Live, and we are on YouTube. So there has been a request to have Kaddish said at each of our connections. For those who are trying to say Kaddish daily for loss of loved ones, for those that are struggling to process and remembering and mourning all of those that have died since October 7th. So together we will say Kaddish. If you're observing as yard site, we ask that you write the the loved one's name in the chat. If it is that you are in the period of mourning, you absolutely should be writing the name of the person in the chat. And so together, for the Bibas family, for so many who we love and lost, together we lift up their legacy with the recitation of Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, bialma divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon v'yomei chon, chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam lomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim tovim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu yaseh shalom alinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. Zichronam Levracha, as we remember Mark Becker, Lisa and Nina and Billy, and for all of those that we're remembering that we haven't mentioned aloud, let us do the hard things and continue to live, to continue to bless one another with the gifts that we have to offer. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. This Friday, 7 p.m., will be our Kabbalat Shabbat, Erev Shabbat service, and we will be in person. So if you can get there in person, please, we would love to see you. And for those of you that are our watchers that are not local, it is a time change, which is 7 p.m. So we look forward to seeing everyone. We love you, but don't worry. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning and Friday morning before we get to Shabbat. Have a great day, everybody. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Ora Avinu Chai. Great to be with you, Jennifer and Lita, Suze, Shuli, Amy, Beth, Gail, Elisa, Lita. A pleasure. We love you so much. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.